Hi friends, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Jess, and you've reached the channel of transformation. We love transformation of all kinds, from transforming the human heart to transforming a life with healthy habits or transforming thrift store flips. It's all about taking something that could be something better or something new and changing it by transformation. Today's going to be a little bit different, and I will warn you, I have notes here, so I'll be looking down at them, and I hope you'll understand at the end why this week is a little bit different. But I want to talk to you a little bit about transforming the mind. I know last week I had mentioned that in 2024, in January, I was diagnosed with neurological Lyme disease, and I promised that I would share a little bit about that journey with you. And then this past week we had another crazy episode in our family. So I did try to film some transformation of our office, and during that time my camera broke. So it just was one thing after another, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna be real life, and we'll just take some time to chat as friends, and I will talk about transformation as it comes to the mind, because I've had to do a lot of that the past couple of years. So what I want to talk about is going to be raw. It could be sensitive, especially if you or a loved one is dealing with health issues. But I hope that you can hear my heart through it. I know everybody's situation's different, and it's not going to be just like my story, and not everybody is going to find healing like I have, or like my husband has. So, but I did feel like stuff was kind of crashing down, and I'm like, something has to be a little bit different this week. So I hope you don't mind. So in January of 2024, out of nowhere, I felt a strange sense of panic come over me. Nothing unusual was going on in my life. It just came out of nowhere. I was on the phone with a friend, and I told her, I was like, I feel like I'm having a panic attack. I've never had a panic attack. So she talked me through it, and this led to extreme feelings of anxiety in my body. My body started having violent tremors over the next couple of days, and everything began to shut down. I wasn't able to eat for 4 months. I lost quite a bit of weight, like close to 45 pounds, I think. I was tired but wired, and I was only sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night. I had crazy brain fog. I just could not think. I was very sensitive to light and sound. I stayed in my room a lot during that time. Even hearing the kids bounce a basketball was just way too much for my brain to try to process. A lot of my cognitive functioning started shutting down. Reading was just like, I would try to read and things just wouldn't compute. I would have trouble making out words. So anyway, a lot of things just started shutting down, and this led to more anxiety and more fear. You know, at that time we had 5 children living at home, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I couldn't be the mom that I wanted to be, or that they were used to. And so guilt flooded my spirit, and things just changed. But I went to the doctor, and she assumed it was Lyme. She looked at me as if it was Lyme. She mentioned Lyme, and she took a blood test, and it came back negative. And this is where I feel the conventional medicine system started to fail me. Because it was a negative Lyme test, she at that point had to say it's not Lyme, and we will treat the symptoms. She did run other tests to try to find something else, like that was the root cause of all this anxiety and this the neurological symptoms I was having. And I did really trust her, but I understood her position as a doctor. Her license were at stake, and she had to kind of like, play by the rules, so to speak. So the only thing she could do was treat the symptoms. And since my symptoms were mostly anxiety and panic and fear, she referred me to a psychiatrist. And they recognized that I was super sick, but they band-aided everything with medication because that's what we were, that's how it was presenting, and that's the thing that they could control. Nobody ever tried to get to the root cause of what was causing the anxiety, what was causing the tremors, what was causing my brain to shut down and my body to shut down. So we lived like that for about 6 months. It was very hard for our family because, we had our children living at home, and my husband was the breadwinner, and he stayed home a lot to take care of me and to take me to appointments. And, financially, he kind of was like, well, I have to work and I have to take care of my wife. And so it just was a very trying time. But I will say we had some very, very sweet friends. I just love my friends, and they saw my need and came to help. Walking was something that really helped me, and they would come for 16 days straight, twice a day. I had people showing up just to walk with me, and they would help me with my housework, or my church brought us meals. Even tried to lift some financial burdens because my husband wasn't working so much. And, it just really reminded me of, how we should be, not just as the church, but just as human beings, taking care of one another, lifting each other's burdens. And I got to experience that firsthand. And without them, I don't know, where I'd be, because I had some very dark, crazy thoughts because I was suffering so greatly. And it was just a very, very hard time. So after 6 months of this craziness, we decided to go to functional medicine, and they did a more extensive Lyme test, and they found it was Borrelia, which is Lyme disease, and then 2 co-infections, the Bartonella and Babesia. They found all of that in my body, and then we were able to start treating it. So we treated it with antibiotics for 4 months. I know that's a controversial issue when it comes to Lyme's disease. Does it help? Does it make it worse? In my case, I feel like it really did help. So we treated it with 2 different antibiotics for 4 months, and then we switched over to herbal therapies. And by the end of the year, by December, I really started feeling like I was having more better days than not. And in all of this craziness, my 19-year-old gets engaged, and she turned 20, and then she got married, all within, from April to October. And it was just hard because as her mom, I really wanted to be involved in all of the things, and it was just a stressor. And then there was that financial aspect that we want to help her. So it was just a lot. And I'm not saying my situation is any worse than anyone else's. I know we all have our stuff, and I'm just sharing some background story before I get into talking about transformation of the mind. So here we are today, and where I'm at is I have mostly good days. I would say I have mild symptoms. It does rear its head every once in a while, and I have worse symptoms than mild, but still very manageable. I can still get up every day and go about my day and do things. The biggest thing right now for me is I am still trying to wean off of some of the stuff that the psychiatrist put me on. She had me on a lot of stuff, and I just remember being out on a walk one time, and I was crying. I cried and cried and cried and cried. Now I look back and I think that sometimes our body just needs that release, and we just need to embrace it and let ourselves cry. We need to stop fighting so hard against in my case, the disease, and just accept, okay, this is where I'm at, and stop fighting so much because of fear, I'm not saying stop fighting as far as like just like laying down and giving up. Nova. Anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at today. But the one thing that does trigger symptoms is stress. And on October 8th, my 46-year-old husband had a heart attack. And it was just a very scary thing. He came home and he had some pressure on his chest, and he said he felt like he had indigestion. And we did have some plans that evening, and we went about our plans. He was eating, he was talking, and I didn't think too much of it. He came home that evening and said he still had that pressure there. And I asked if he thought we should go to the emergency room, and he's like, well, let's call his friend. He's a holistic doctor. So we called him, and they talked about the symptoms, and we went to bed that night. It was kind of just like one of those nights where like nobody wants to sleep because you just don't know what's going on. And then by morning, he's like, we have to go. So we went to the hospital. He actually drove us there. I don't know. I guess it wasn't just like, it wasn't sinking in that it was like that serious. And he, I don't know. I feel like I was like so spared of like a lot of the anxiety and fear that could have been placed on me, because I dropped him, or he drove, but like he got out of the emergency room, and then I had to go park the car, and it was kind of like a long walk back in. And when I got in there, they had already taken him back, and the lady told me to sit in the waiting room. So I sat there, and like an hour and a half went by, and then he texted me and said, hey, are they telling you what's going on? And I said no. And so I went back to be with him, and all the tests were already done, and the doctor already told him he had had a heart attack, and the EKG showed just like the tail end, so he probably had it through the night, they thought. And then his troponin levels, which is a level in your blood that kind of tells you if your heart's under trauma, like a normal level is 45, and his were 2,700. And so they're like, you're not going anywhere. You have to get a heart cath. We have to explore what's going on here. And so we did all of that, and or he did all of that. And there was just a moment in the waiting room. Now I was by myself, and they told me it would take 15 minutes for him to have the heart cath done. And I was by myself in the waiting room, and there was just a short period of time where my mind started getting away from me. Yeah, my mind started getting away, because they told me 15 minutes, and it was like at the 45-minute mark, and I could feel myself starting to worry, like something's wrong, and my body started shaking, and I started thinking things like, what would I do with his truck if something happened to him? What would I even do with his truck? I can't even drive it. It's this huge Dodge pickup truck, 5-speed, whatever it is. And how would I pack up our house in Florida and move back to Pennsylvania to be with my other children? Where would I even live? And then I could feel like my body was responded, and in that moment, I had to decide to take authority over my thoughts. I had to like stop the spiral. And, the Bible says, think about whatever is true. And so I had to remind myself, okay, Jess, what is true? And I'm like sitting in the waiting room, just talking to myself, not out loud. I mean, geez, I would need some more pills then. But I was just like talking myself through it and just saying, what is true? Okay, Jerry is alive. They told me that if he needed a stent placed, that it could take longer. The nurse would have told me if something was wrong. So these are the things that I know to be true. So let's shut down the other voices for now and focus on the truth. And if something comes up, then we'll deal with the next step after that. And right then, I had one of my sons was flying in from Pennsylvania, and then all this distraction kind of started. They arrived at the hospital. My friend had dropped them off, after she picked him up from the airport. And so I felt like that was just another blessing for me, that, you know, I didn't have to sit alone in my thoughts too much before I got distracted. And right after that, the nurse came. It was like an hour and 15 minutes total, and the nurse came and said, "Mrs. Rill, your husband did great. He is in his room. Here's his room number." And we went and saw him. So it's been like quite a journey. What I've been learning is how taking authority over our thoughts is such a powerful tool. And I started this back during my Lyme journey, when I spent a lot of time in my room, in my bed, and I would cry and cry and cry. And there's nothing wrong with crying. Like I said, I think that our bodies just sometimes need an emotional release to like everything that we're feeling. And so I let myself cry, and I journaled a lot. I wrote down my thoughts. I let myself be disappointed and be sad and about how I felt. But I also had to remind myself of a few things. And here's where the brain transformation. I had to remind myself, first of all, who I was. And I would tell myself who I was. Like, even in that state of where I was, that was only temporary. It didn't feel like it at the time. I was like, this can't go on forever. But it was only temporary. So I had to remind myself, I am a good mom. I am a daughter of the Lord Jesus Christ. He created me with a purpose. My life has meaning. So I would say these things like, my husband loves me dearly. My kids love me. And I had to remind myself who I was, because I didn't feel like myself. And so that was one of the things that I tried to do throughout the day. And then the other thing was trying to find things that I was thankful for. And sometimes it was hard, because I didn't even want to be thankful for one, because I was so upset that I wasn't getting healed. But I had to choose to be thankful. And so sometimes it was just the smallest thing, because like I said, I was like in my room a lot. So sometimes it was just the smallest thing, as like, thank you for the sun that's like shining through my window, or thank you that I have like cozy fuzzy socks, or, you know, sometimes it was the smallest things. But the more I practiced it, the more I saw it. You know, then the things got bigger. Like, thank you for every single friend that came to walk with me. Thank you for the meal that somebody brought for me. Thank you that my husband loves me enough not to leave me in this state. Thank you for functional medicine. You know, so it just kind of like grew, like the thankfulness grew, and it kind of became a little bit of a game, because like I started looking for things that I could be thankful for. I started looking for things that I could, like, you know, put on my list when I knew I had to like do the 10 things I'm thankful for, or whatever it was. I don't think I ever had a number. I just, when I felt myself spiraling, I would just stop, take authority over my thoughts. Right now, what are you thankful for? I'm thankful I have a bed to lay in. And then the other thing was beginning to thank God for like the future that I wanted, almost like, maybe you can call it faith. Like, I would thank him ahead of time. And this is biblical, to like thank him for the things that we have not yet seen. So like I would start saying like, thank you for the healing that's happening in my body. Thank you that tomorrow I'll feel a little bit better than today. And, you know, did I always feel better tomorrow? No, but it was my hope. It was like my faith. Not everything we have faith about comes to fruition. But I think it's, again, just like transforming the mind and like putting our mind in a, just a better state than the negative spiral. So, now if you're still watching, I'm going to close this up, but I think that you're kind of following where I'm going with this. because I would say, like, over the years I would have tend to be more of like a what if person. What if that happens? Or what if I let my kids climb a tree and they fall? Or, you know, like kind of looking out and looking for the problem before it even happens. And it just robs like so much joy from our life, and like so much, it takes like from the moment of life when we're just constantly living in what ifs. And it's actually creating like pathways in our brain that we think, like if we start thinking one way, we keep thinking that way. And that's why I was trying to change that with like, okay, even if I don't feel thankful right now, I'm going to tell myself I'm thankful. And then I started looking for things that I'm thankful for. And then I became more thankful, and I saw those things more than the negative things. So that is my spiel on transforming the mind today. So if you're still watching, thank you. Thank you for watching. And I hope that you feel encouraged. I know life just takes crazy turns. And when we lived here in Florida before, I had a furniture and home decor shop that I absolutely loved. It was very, very life-giving to me. It was such a creative outlet, and I enjoyed the people. But after the Lyme disease diagnosis, I knew, so after my Lyme disease diagnosis, I knew that having a shop was not going to be feasible for me. I had too many bad days to, you know, make any kind of commitment like that. I knew that my body needed rest, and I knew that I needed to give myself time to heal. And having a shop again like that would just be an added stress. And so that is how we began the YouTube channel. I knew that I could do this, you know, at my leisure, I guess, like when it fit into my day and into my schedule, and when my body was feeling strong enough. And so that's how I got here. So that is kind of like, you know, the story of how this all started. If you're still watching, I just pray that your heart feels encouraged today. And I hope that you can begin like noticing your thoughts, just paying attention to what you think about, and, you know, work at transforming your mind so that it gives you strength to face those hard days, and that we really, really do have something to be thankful for in every single day. And I pray that, you know, if you feel encouraged, that you would just kindly hit that like button and share this with a friend who you think might benefit from hearing this. If you have any questions on Lyme disease, or specific questions on how I found my healing, just put a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer it. I'm not an expert at all in this, but I definitely have experience with it. And I do have a nursing background. And so that, I feel like, you know, even though I'm not a nurse, like I don't work as a nurse, I have my license. And I just feel like that knowledge though has come in handy, because I understand a little bit more of how my body works and why it reacted the way it did to some extent. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions, even about my husband. He did end up having 2 stents placed in his right coronary artery. It was 100% blocked. So I am so thankful to have him here with me today. It was a real eye-opener after all the craziness of like the, you know, getting him there and putting the stents in and staying overnight at the hospital. We came home and just sat back and we realized what just happened, and we're just so thankful that he is here with us. So that is all for this week. Like I said, hit the like button. It's just a way to support us and to support this channel so we can keep doing what we're doing, and subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.